Please like this video and subscribe to our channel. And a good afternoon to you. This is the Central Florida Computer Society, the Windows Special Interest Group, or WinSig. I'm Hewie Poplock, and I welcome everyone, those of you who are online, any of you who are watching the recording. We meet the second Sunday of every month at this time, and we talk about Windows. Last month, we talked about Windows 11. This month, we're going to talk about Windows 11, Windows 10, and a few other things as well. So I welcome everybody, and I'm going to stop the share. And we have 50 people online, so that's great. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I see a few names I hadn't seen before, but on here, but we welcome you, and we're glad you're here. The Central Florida Computer Society is located in Orlando. We haven't met physically now in over a year and a half. The main meeting is immediately following this meeting. And all you have to do is stay online. We'll use the same Zoom login. So you don't have to go anywhere. You can put your screen on stop video and stop and mute and take a break somewhere in between or anywhere along the way. In fact, if you do get up or if you decide to talk to somebody else in your house and so on, please make sure you mute and stop your video. And I'm going to play a short etiquette program video that I put together for Tech for Seniors. It's only about two and a half minutes. I'm going to play that a little bit later, just to remind you of some of the things that you should remember. Anyway, let me go ahead and share my screen. We're going to go to my website. For those of you who've never been to the website, this is the front page or the main page or the home page, whichever you want to call it. And by the way, at the bottom, if you're not a subscriber to our WinSig monthly newsletter, you can just fill this out right here. All we need is your name and your email address, and you're signed up. I don't send a lot of stuff out, usually a reminder before the meeting, a couple of days with what we're going to be covering. And then also on the website is my Windows Special Interest Group. And every month I post all of the things we're going to be talking about. And then after the meeting, I also put a link to the video to that meeting. So if you want to look back and go back a couple of months and see any of the meetings, they are there. Of course, there's no video for today's meeting. We're in the process of making it. And also, before we start with this, there's a YouTube page on here where you can find my channel. You can find the Tech for Seniors channel. You can find the CFCS channel. The Learning Chromebooks is also on the Tech for Senior channel. So that's on Ron Brown's channel. And Bob G, who is here, he records and does a lot, not only security, but all kinds of good Windows and other short videos on how to do things. Make sure you check his channel out. And then, of course, APCUG's channel with all of the VTCs and other meetings that they have are recorded. And then I'm also on the board of directors at Sarasota Technology User Group, and their channel is also there. So by going to my website, you can get to all of these channels to view any of the videos that are there. So you should not be hurting for things to do and don't have to play solitaire a lot. You're welcome to watch any of the old videos. You're welcome to share them with your user group members and with your friends. And you're welcome. Most of them, I don't think any of those you can't use for your user group meetings. You can use either parts of them or all of them. So again, welcome. And let's see what we're going to be talking about today. Last month, as I said, we talked about Windows 11 a great deal. And let's see, I've got to go over to my other screen here for a moment and get the right mouse to get there. And I want to, let's see, hide the video panel on that one. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to shortly go to that screen to show you that we can take a look at some things. But the first item here is the taskbar bricked in new Windows builds. And what we're going to do is I use a program or an add-on. Come on. Okay, that doesn't want to work right now. Or maybe it is. Anyway, this taskbar bricked in the new Windows 11 builds. And there we go. Everything's working slow. This is called, I got to remember it now, print friendly and PDF. And what it will allow me to do is to make a nice big version of what we're talking about on the screen and take out all the ads and so on. So what happened was Microsoft acknowledged and issued a fix for this issue, for an issue in the latest Windows 11 builds that some users reported. It bricked a whole bunch of features in the upcoming operating system, namely the taskbar, the start menu, and even Explorer. The problem is rather widespread, and all users who installed either of those builds that are listed there were said to be affected. There's a range of different issues reported by testers on the feedback hub, and they apparently all stem from a single cause. And this is how it looked for users. And what you said was, let's see, you can't see that too clearly, but basically it just would not open my start menu. And so they said there's some fixes and so on. So thankfully, Redmond, which is of course Microsoft, was quick to acknowledge the problem, was even quicker to release the workaround that resolves it. You had to open up Task Manager, and you can do that by doing Control-Alt-Delete, choosing more details, go to File, and Run New Task. And then type in Command and then the Open field. And then you copy and paste this item right here. It's highlighted in yellow, so I can't really move my mouse over it. But if you copy and paste that in the command line and hit enter, your PC will reboot, and then everything should be back to normal and it should work. And I did that, and it did work. So this is a good article to keep in case you have that issue. Can be remedied. The next article, let's see, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so I can, my Zoom menu is hiding the top of the screen. So I'm going to bring this down to here. There we go. And so now I can close this. We're back here. And then Windows 7 releases October 5th. Here's how to upgrade for free. So what it boils down to is, let's go ahead and open up the print friendly. Print friendly is not real friendly and fast today because of the Zoom and all the things I've got going on here. The page is still loading. Come on. There we go. I should have rebooted my computer and I didn't this morning. Anyway, Windows 7 releases October 5th. So the official release for Windows 11 is October 5th. Are you going to have an October 5th? No. And what it means is you're going to be able to some of you will be able to download it and install it. Otherwise, mostly it's being released on October 5th so the manufacturers can get the version of Windows 11 and start installing it on new computers so it will be ready for sale by the holiday season. So not all of your computers, when you go into the stores, are going to have a Windows 11 on them, but they'll probably have a Windows 11 ready insignia on it. And then when you get it, you'll have to update to Windows 11, but you'll be able to do it for free. Microsoft, let's see, I think I make this bigger. There we go. Microsoft has officially announced that Windows 11 is arriving on October 5th. The long-awaited update to Windows 10 will be available as a free update for certain existing systems, although several products are on the way that are tailor-made for the new operating system. While many users will gain instant access on October 5th, Microsoft will be rolling out the Windows 11 update in waves. Depending upon your device, you might be waiting weeks or even months before the update is pushed to your laptop or to your computer. In general, expect to see the operating system roll out to the latest products before coming to anything older or less mainstream. Following the tremendous learnings from Windows 10, we want to make sure we're providing you with the best possible experience, the general manager of Windows marketing at Microsoft said. We're expecting all eligible devices to be offered the free upgrade by Windows 11 by mid-2022. In other words, by next June. Windows 11 required specs. The development team also mentioned you'll want to ensure you're running Windows 10 version at least 20H1 or later for the best Windows 11 upgrade experience. So if you're contemplating doing the upgrade, make sure you've got at least the 20H1 version of Windows installed on the computer you're going to upgrade from or to. The 20H2 and 21H1, and probably around the same time, the 20H2 will be available as well for Windows 10.
21H2. You said 20H2.
Okay, yeah, well, you got to have 20H2, but in October, 21H2 should be available as well. Yes, thank you. If all of the above specs look like gibberish, then know that most PCs less than 4 years old should be compatible with Windows 11. Microsoft is also planning to launch a PC health check app in their near future. They did, and it doesn't work very well. But there was another one that we mentioned last month, which will analyze your system and let you know if you're eligible for Windows 11. Now, upgrading from Windows 10 to 11 will follow the same format as previous system updates. Specifically, it'll use the Windows Update software pre-installed on all Windows Microsoft systems to make the process entirely painless. Yeah, that's their words. Here's how to upgrade from Windows 10 to Windows 11 for free. Ensure you're running the latest version of Windows 10. Verify your PC is compatible with the Windows 11 hardware requirements. Ensure your PC is connected to the internet. Duh. And when the Windows 11 update is ready for your system, you'll receive a notification from the Windows Update software, not in an email. If you don't get a notification, you can search the new OS for the new OS by opening Windows Update and selecting Check for Updates. Wait for the download to complete, then start enjoying Windows 11. Remember, Windows 11 is rolling out in phases, with Microsoft hoping to hit all eligible systems by the middle of 2022. If you don't receive notification by then, make sure your system meets the minimum requirements for the OS. Otherwise, you'll have to manually load it into your system. Now, people have asked me when I am going to upgrade my main machine, and I am not going to do it on October 5th. I probably will wait till sometime in November or December to do so. Number one is most of you will be still on Windows 10, and this is a Windows special interest group, so it's geared for most of you who will still be on Windows 10. I still have the my small unit that I have Windows 11 on that I can utilize to check things and try things. But for the most part, this will be still Windows 10. Remember that Windows 10 is going to be around until the middle of 2025, or another 4.5 years before Windows, you're going to have to worry about, oh, I better start thinking about doing an update. So don't worry about it. If you're still on Windows 10 in 6 months or a year from now, you're going to be fine. almost everything that you do will work, will still be working. There shouldn't be any problem. There might be some new software for Windows 11 only. I doubt it. Most of it will run. If it runs on Windows 11, it will probably run on Windows 10. There might be a couple of things that are specific for features of Windows 11, but for the most part, don't worry about it. I'm not telling you that you need to go out and buy a new computer or you need to worry about making your computer update to Windows 11. Some of us are gluttons for punishment and we like to try the things as soon as they come out. But I know there's a few of my friends that are on here and people I've known for years that a lot of times only will wait as long as 6 months or till the first update comes along before they go to the new version. So by all means, I would not be in a hurry to do the update. So there's going to be a lot of ads and a lot of push and a lot of making you feel insecure because you haven't updated. Don't worry about it. And this item here, announcing Windows 11 Preview Insider. This was oh yeah, that one, I didn't change the link to it. Darn it. Oops. Let me go back to that. I didn't change the link to that because I put it in wrong. Now I'll have to find the link and change it in the menu. But it does tell you that there was only a handful of things that they changed in the latest build, but and I'll have to find where that article is. And then let's see, I can find that. Well, I'll do that when I'm not sharing my screen. How to hide recommended panel in Windows 11 start menu. So this is going to be the first thing in Windows 11 we may show today. Let's take a look at that. Before I do, let me stop sharing and see if there's any comments or questions. And check and see if you're still awake. Any comments, questions at this point? Don't forget, use the under reactions, raise your hand, or just kind of go like this. Let's see, there's 51 of you. There's 2 of you I don't see on the screen, but you probably don't have your cameras on anyway. So, okay, so there's no comments or questions. I don't know if that's good or bad, but either way.
You're doing well, Hewie. Keep it going.
Oh, I love when you comment like that. I appreciate it. Okay, how to hide the panel. So let's go ahead and open it up in print friendly. Make the screen bigger. And we're gonna join my 11 machine here in just a moment. Windows 11 has generated a huge amount of interest. The Revamp Start menu has a controversial and diverse for numerous reasons, not least of which is the fact that it's centered by default. And although this can be changed, but another thing is that upset some people is the inclusion of the recommended panel in the lower half of the start menu. The moment it's used to highlight recently used files and recently installed apps. Some people fear that it'll be used by Microsoft to spam users with other recommendations. If you don't like it, here's how to disable it. Okay, there was an advertisement there. So Microsoft claims Windows 11 visual effects do not reduce performance. Let's see. Good news is getting rid of the recommended panel is simple. There's no need to edit the registry or do anything complicated. It's a simple matter of tweaking a couple of options within settings. You can change if you change your mind, you can re-enable it. So I am going to move this over to the side. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to move this over to the side so I can keep reading it, put it on my other screen. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to come over here, share, whoops, host disabled participant sharing. Okay, I guess I didn't make myself, I got to make me a co-host here. Hang on just a moment. I thought I did.
Terrible when you have to find yourself, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, I got to remember the alphabet. And am I there as such? And it's not there. So where am
Huey,
I?
I
I'm
see
going to be
it
way
all
at the bottom. I'm going to be way at the
all the way
bottom.
at the bottom.
Yep. Yep. Because I don't have my sound and so on. I'm going to make a co-host. And now I should be able to change mice and click on share screen. There we go. Share sound, although I don't have any. And here's my Windows machine. Okay, and we'll, oops. I got to close things off of here. I don't want to join audio, so make that go away. No, I don't want that. And so I want to minimize this just to get rid of it. And we're going to hit the start menu in the center of the screen. And when I do, this is the recommended area that we're talking about. And you can see that I've got some things that I've been working on. Some, these don't have to be programs, they were files, but you know, I don't really need them there. So let me bring my, look at my, oh, you open the settings, okay, by Windows key and I. So if we do a Windows key and I, that's my settings. And I move to the personalization section, which is here. And let's see, toggle the show recently added apps. And where am I seeing that? Okay, that's what they're saying is move to the personalization section, show recently added apps.
Is it under the start?
Now let's look
option?
under apps. Let me look at apps and see if it's there. This article may have been before, they may have made some changes. So personalization, no. Okay, it's going to be under start. Probably they forgot to put that in the notes, maybe. Yeah. They left a step out. Oh, I love it when people do that. Okay, show recently opened items is here and it's on. All I have to do is turn it off. And show recently, let's see. Oh, that's in the jump list, but here's where it says in the start menu, and I got to turn that off too. I'll do that. And now if we minimize this and then open the start menu, it's gone. So you don't have it here. So that's, there's a lot of things that you can turn on and off easily if you know where to find them and they give you the right directions.
What I don't like, Huey, is the fact that you turn it off, but it doesn't give you more room for other items. It just leaves you with this blank, what is it?
Yeah, recommended to show recent files and new apps, turn them
Right.
on and start setting. So it takes you probably right back to there and you can turn them back on again.
But turning it off should leave room for new stuff to add of the stuff that's shown above, and it
Yep,
doesn't.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
they have work still left to do to finish this thing and make it right.
Well, if they ever do.
Windows 12, yes.
Or Chromebook 94. Okay, let's stop share and then move back to sharing my screen here and bring that file over from my screen 2 over to this screen again, and that's where we are. So that was the article, and so they left the one step out, so just remember that. So that was in this article. Okay, next item here, and I want to check the time, make sure we're doing good. Use the Edge Deflector to enforce your browser choice. Let's look at this article. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to follow this because at this point I don't want to change it on mine. And we'll click on. Well, that was a little bit quicker, wasn't it? Okay, and then we'll make this bigger. This was just posted on the 7th by Paul Thurrott. By the way, Paul Thurrott wrote a book called The Field Guide to Windows 10, and I bought it back, 5-6 years ago. And it cost $10. Well, it still costs $10. But every time there is an update in Windows, not every time there's an update per se, but throughout the year, he has been updating the book with changes in Windows 10. And that's all included in that $10 price. So you just download the latest PDF and it's the updated book. And the book is about 500-600 pages. So you're not going to print it out, but you can look at the PDF. You can search the PDF. It's an excellent book. Paul Thurrott, Thurrott.com is his website, and Field Guide to Windows 10. And he's in the process of writing the Field Guide to Windows 11 or a book similar to that. And so he's in the process of that. So there will be a manual for Windows 11 written by Paul Thurrott available. It may not be the same $10. It may not be free to update each time because I'm sure he didn't expect 6 years of updates. It's very time consuming for the amount of money that he made from doing the book. But anyway, this is from him. And so how do you want to open this? If you use EdgeDeflector, and I believe he's got a link in here. Let me see if he does. I'm sure he does. It says controversially, Microsoft is making it much harder to change, and we talked about this last month, to change your default browser in Windows 11 or to change any defaulted item in Windows 11. You've got to change each and every extension for that program separately. So you've got a lot of work ahead of you in some programs to change the default. In some cases, Windows 11 simply will ignore the choice that you made. So for example, when you start or widget search, the results will appear in Microsoft Edge no matter which browser you prefer. Obviously, third parties will step in to solve these problems, and one has already done that. And I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, but he published a new version of its EdgeDeflector utility that takes on some of the ugliness in Windows 11. Seemingly normal looking web links are all over Windows 10. The Cortana, Digital Assistant, and Microsoft apps like Mail, News, and your phone force open in Windows, in Microsoft Edge, rather than in your system-defined default web browser. EdgeDeflector lets you use your default web browser even when Windows normally force opens Microsoft Edge instead. The app is tiny and it's free to install and use. And here's where you can download it. In the article, he's got it, and then you install it. And then to test it, you try using an experience that normally force opens Microsoft Edge. And he says, try the widgets. And so it's something that if some of you are trying Windows 11 and want to, when I close this out, you will see in the article where it says you can download Microsoft EdgeDeflector here. That's a link, and that will download the installer. So more and more people are going to, and more companies are going to create utilities that are going to make it function, or make Windows 11 function more to our liking, or maybe more like Windows 10. The company that makes fences, trying to think of their name, it's just, I'm having a senior moment, but they've got Stardock. And there's an article here that they're making something that will make your start menu look like Windows 10. Well, if you're going to do that, stay with Windows 10. Why, there's no sense to going to Windows 11 and then making it look like Windows 10. Just stay with Windows 10. So, but if you need to and you want the start menu to look like Windows 10, I believe Stardock programs are usually cheap. They're like in the $10 range. So it might not hurt to try that. And then, as we mentioned earlier, whoops, wrong. I clicked the wrong one. It's going to wait for that to open. I'll click on this one too. There we go. And the other program, the other thing, I don't want this, so I'll close that and make this bigger. Windows 11 will run on old PCs after all. Microsoft announced that PCs running at older hardware will be able to install Windows 11. So Microsoft has admitted that. Previously, Microsoft's specs and hardware requirements for the new operating system looked set to exclude hundreds of millions of users, forcing them to keep using Windows 10 or upgrade in line with the requirements. Now, Microsoft has confirmed it won't block people from installing Windows 11 on machines that don't meet the minimum hardware requirements, opening Windows 11 up almost to anyone. However, the news that Microsoft will not actively block the installations on older hardware is a significant departure from the messaging around the Windows launch back in June. But the hardware requirements were safe to say not well received. Now, Microsoft Insider Preview blog, they have confirmed that the only time Windows 10 users will meet the Windows 11 hardware restriction is if they attempt to upgrade using Windows Update. So if you happen to say install Windows 11 on your computer using Windows 10 ISO, which is a one file that has the entire operating system on it, Microsoft will not block the installation, and the operating system will function on your computer. Will it run on any PC? Well, it may not work perfectly. During the first couple of months Windows 11 testing, Microsoft observed that machines running Windows 11 on unsupported hardware were around 52% more likely to experience a fatal kernel error. In other words, the blue screen of death, in comparison to a 99.8% crash-free experience for those using the hardware that meets the minimum requirements. Furthermore, while you still can install Windows 11 on any machine, that doesn't mean it will work. You'll still need to meet the minimum hardware requirements for Windows 11 elsewhere, such as having enough RAM installed and a decent enough processor to run the operating system. So while you can skirt the Windows 11 restrictions with clean installation, you should make sure your existing hardware can run on Windows 11 before abandoning Windows 10. Okay, any comments, questions?
Yeah, Huey, I can attest to the fact that that's bunk, because I did not do a clean install on my system. It was an update that came directly from Microsoft that upgraded my computer to Windows 11. It was a Windows 10 computer, yes, an insider, and I expected to get the latest version of Windows 10.
You were the test bed.
Yeah, but you're using the test version. So that probably will change when the official release after October 11th.
I guess I'm going to find out on this particular computer, won't I?
Yeah. Well, you have to go back and put Windows 10 on it and then do the upgrade.
No, I'm going to leave my computer exactly as it is. Windows upgraded it. And if they want it back to Windows 10, then let them downgrade it.
But to see if it actually works like it will for people who haven't installed it, to be able to verify the fact that you can do it, you would have to go back to Windows 10 without being in the beta program or the development program, and then see if it will update.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I know, but I'm just saying, just to make the statements realistic. That's how you would have to do it. Okay, any other comments, questions? Okay, again, let's see. I'm going to go back to sharing the screen. And close this. And that's, let's see. The next item on here is how to email large files using any email program or service. I'm in the process of doing a video on that, so I'm not going to talk about that today. And probably next week or maybe the week after, it will probably be a video that will show up on my channel, and it'll also on the Hewie channel, not the CFCS channel, and it'll also be a portion of the Tech for Senior program. So the next one, how do I remove invalid email addresses from autofill? Now, I did not try this, so let's take a look at the article and see what we find. This is a problem for me, but I have not tried what they're doing. So let's kind of see what they're talking about and see what they're saying is the remedy. Somebody had asked the question, is there a way to delete an address forever so that it will not come up for autofill for Gmail or Yahoo or Outlook? I keep making mistakes sending emails to an old, outdated address. And this fellow Leo says it's a very common problem. Unfortunately, it's a problem with several different causes because autofill can come from several different sources. Getting rid of autofill suggestions is clear your browser's autofill form data if it's an option. And if you do that, of course, all of them go away, even the good ones. Remove bad entries added automatically to your address book or contact lists. Clear individual suggestions by highlighting them and clicking an X or typing the delete key when they pop up and they have the wrong address. I had that happen a lot. And so I am going to try these. In your web browser, the most common source for autofill is your web browser. While you may think your email program is filling something in, it may actually be your browser, Edge, Firefox, Chrome, and so on. The browser watches for fields that you type info into, any field on any web page, and then remembers what you've typed in those fields. It has nothing to do with email. It just happens to work there as well as in all the other places. So put it another way, the facts it's happening in email is immaterial. It's just remembering. There's this field called to, and it was on this page. And this is what I remember it having been used for in the past. So I'll make some suggestions. You can deal with this easily by clearing the information in your browser. How to do that depends upon the specific browser, but it's typically one of the options when you clear your browser's cache. In Google Chrome, as one example, Control-Shift-Delete to bring up your Clear Histories dialog box on the Advanced tab and look for autofill form data. Let's see, in Google Chrome, if I click Control-Shift-Delete, so I'm in Chrome, so I hit Control-Shift-Delete, I get this. And there it is, clear browsing history. And what I would do was I'd leave checked the browsing history, cookies, and I probably leave all of them checked and then clear data. I'm not going to do that. And if you want to go to the advanced, there's even more information, passwords and other sign-in data. So, but I have 374 passwords. So if I click that, I'll have to type in the passwords for all of those websites as well. And so I may not want to do that. But the autofill form data, the 21 addresses and 1,274 other suggestions. Wow. So I might not clear my data, but I might individually do them with the delete key. But that's how you get to it, how you change it in Chrome. And let's see what it says here farther down. Make sure the time range scrolled off the top of the image above is set appropriately and autofill data form is checked. So let's see, they didn't, oh, and this, we're not seeing that. Well, let me do that again. To get to it, how did I do that? Windows key or
Control Alt Delete,
no, it wasn't Control Alt Delete. It was Control Shift Delete.
Shift Delete.
Don't do a Control Alt Delete. That's something else. Okay, so we go there, and then at the top, oh, time range, all time, last 24 hours, last 7 days, last 4 weeks. You know what? But most of those are going to be old ones, so you want to do it anyway. So you're probably going to have to do all time. Okay, so I guess you don't win. It's not easy. So sometimes to make things easy, you've got to make things hard for yourself and start over again. Why is my email address showing as invalid? Let's see. What happens to an email sent to an invalid email address? In general, there's no hard and fast rule to determine what happens to emails sent to an invalid address. Most commonly, you'll get what's called a bounce, a message indicating that the email address you sent is invalid. You may get no returned message or error at all. And of course, if the email address is simply the wrong one, but it's still valid, it may land in the inbox of whoever uses that email address. And why is my email address showing as invalid? An error message indicating an invalid email address often gives clues as to why it's invalid. If not, the rules are fairly simple. Chances are you included an invalid character, only A to Z, A to capital Z, 0 to 9, and a couple of special characters may be used, or specified an invalid domain name for the same reasons, or specify an invalid top level domain, often the .com at the end of an email address. It can also be a valid top level domain like .org, .me, and so on, and must be at least 2 characters long after the period. And how do you fix that? It depends upon the context in which, in what's wrong with it and what's invalid. But the most common case attempting to send an email to an invalid email address is solved simply by carefully retyping the email address so it's accurate and valid. Okay. Next item is the Microsoft PowerToys. And I'm going to stop this for a moment. And those of you who have your cameras on, if you just hold up your hand, if you use any of the Windows PowerToys, the Microsoft PowerToys, anybody use them? Bob is the only one. And Lynn? Not many. The same people that have their cameras on. How many of you know about the PowerToys and have any of them installed or have looked at them in the past? Okay, a few of you are familiar with it anyway. So again, that's something I probably ought to do for a video, but the Microsoft PowerToys are free programs, and they have just released 0.45.0. So it's version 0. That means they're still testing it. And they have been since day one. So they aren't really released by Windows and Microsoft, but they are written by Microsoft employees and they are utilities. And you can see they're called the Microsoft PowerToys. You can get them at GitHub, which is owned by Microsoft now. But you can look at the PowerToys. So let's look at the next article that's on here.
Yeah, Hewie, can I make a note? There's something called WinArrow Tweaker, which I've been using, which has a huge number of adjustments to make changes in the behavior of Windows.
And is that a PowerToy?
Yeah, no. I would consider it to be that, yes.
No, but is it considered one of the PowerToys?
No.
No. It's a utility you use. If you could put the name of that in the chat box so I'll have a record of it, I would appreciate it, and I'll have to take a look at it. Okay, now this was Microsoft releases PowerToys 0.43. So it's actually was written before 0.45 came out. But what it does talk about is, now this shows that this isn't the one I wanted to show you. This shows you, and they keep track and they show you what's been changed when new versions come out. But the next article after that, there we go. All Microsoft's PowerToys explained. And let's go ahead and open up this, make it bigger.
You have to share the screen.
Oh, why?
We might want to see it.
Yeah, oh, okay. Let's see. What did I just do? I got to get this back where I started here. And yeah, sharing screen, what might help, huh? I got to come here, share screen. Thank you for that, Bob. And again, we'll open up Print Friendly. This Print Friendly is a real neat little a little add-on to the browser. And make it bigger so you can read it. So Microsoft is hard at work on PowerToys for Windows 10, and I am going to test by the next meeting. I'm sure these will work on Windows 11, but I want to double check and see how they do. And I'm sure they'll. Yeah, are you using them on yours, Bob?
Yep, I am.
Okay, great. Okay, this open source project adds many powerful features to Windows from a bulk file renamer. So you want to rename a whole bunch of files. Let's say you've taken a whole bunch of pictures and it's got the dates on each one and the time, and that's the only thing, and it's dot whatever the extension is. You can, as a bulk group, you can name them Florida trip 001 and tell it to increase the numbers, and it changes, and we'll put the numbers on it. And so all of the file names, and you can just do it in one fell swoop, do the whole bunch of them at one time. So how do you get them? Let's see. We originally published this article on April 1st, 2020. We've updated it with information on the latest PowerToy Awake, and it's part of the PowerToys 0.41. We already said 0.45 is out, which Microsoft released in June. So how to get the PowerToys? You can download the PowerToys from GitHub, and the link to that is in the Hewie.net, the WinSig notes for today's meeting. You can download it from GitHub and enable the features you want to from within the PowerToys settings application. It's free and open source. It's an MSI or Microsoft software install file from the website, and you double click it to install it. To access PowerToys settings after installing and launching the application, locate the PowerToys icon in the notification area of your system tray on your taskbar, and then right click it. That's what's I keep thinking I can move my mouse over it to point to something, and this program highlights it to delete it. So so that's what it looks like. And then how to update your PowerToys. If you have an older version of PowerToys, you can now check for updates right from the general settings pane. Under general settings, scroll down, click check for updates at the bottom of the pane to check for a new version. Starting with version 0.18, you can also enable a download updates automatically feature to have PowerToys automatically download and install updates. If you don't see this button, you'll have to download the latest PowerToys package from GitHub and install it to update. And Awake is a quick way to stop your PC from sleeping. Whether you're downloading a file or performing another long-running task, sometimes you just don't want your PC to go to sleep. You can go into settings and tell Windows never to sleep, wait for the task to complete, and then go back into settings and change it back. And that's what I usually do. Of course, that's a lot of clicks, and it's easy to forget to re-enable the sleep mode. PowerToys Awake gives you a quick notification icon, that area icon that lets you control sleep settings. You can have your PC never go to sleep until you tell it not to, or you can configure your PC to only stay awake until a predetermined time you set. And people who work with graphics, from web designers to photographers and graphic artists, the next one is Color Picker, which is a speedy system-wide color picker. So if you play with photographs or your graphics, and you like to change the graphics around a little bit, hide something, fix something in a photograph, often you have to identify a specific color and use it. And that's why tools like Photoshop have a color picker or an eyedrop tool that lets you point your mouse cursor at a part of an image to identify precisely what that color is. Well, the program, the PowerToy color picker, is an eyedrop tool that works anywhere on your system. After enabling it in PowerToys, press Win, Shift, and C and open it anywhere. You'll see the color code displayed in both hex and RGB so that you can use it in other programs. And what does RGB mean? Why and why is it all over tech? Well, you click once, the hex color code will be copied to your clipboard so you can paste it. If you prefer RGB, you can open the color picker screen in the PowerToys setting window and choose to instead to copy the RGB color code when you click. RGB is red, green, blue as the color combination that gives you a set of numbers that tells you exactly what the color is. PowerToys Run, a quick application launcher. PowerToys Run is a text-based application launcher with a search feature. Unlike the classic Windows Run dialog box, well, if you hit your Windows key in R, it has a search feature. And unlike the Start menu search box, it's all about launching things on your computer instead of searching the web with Bing. In addition to applications, PowerToys Run can quickly find files. They can even find and switch to open windows. Just search for their window title. To open it, you hit Alt-Space, and this keyboard shortcut is customizable from the PowerToys Run pane. The next PowerToy they're talking about is the Keyboard Manager for remapping keyboard shortcuts. Sometimes shortcuts get in the way. You got two programs that use the same shortcut. So sometimes you might want to remap it a little bit. And so what you can do is remap a key or remap a combination of keys. The Keyboard Manager provides an easy interface for remapping single keys on your keyboard and multiple key shortcuts. The Remap Keyboard tool lets you change a single key to a new key. You can make any key on your keyboard function as another key, including the special function keys. For example, you could turn the caps lock key you never use into a browser back key for more easily navigating the web. The Remap Shortcuts pane lets you change multiple key shortcuts into other shortcuts. For example, Win and the letter E normally opens File Explorer. You could create a new keyboard shortcut with Win space that opens a File Explorer window. Your new keyboard shortcuts can override existing keyboard shortcuts built into Windows 10. So if you're finding that two programs want to use the same shortcut, you can change your system one by using the PowerToy. Power Rename is a bulk file renamer. Here's the screen for it. Let me make this a little bit smaller so you can see most of it on the screen. Whoops. So you enter the criteria below to rename the item. So you search for something, and then you can use regular expressions. I can't move my mouse there. Case sensitive, match all occurrences, and so on. And then you can do multiple files or several files, and you can see where it can how to rename them. So Microsoft PowerToys includes a batch renaming tool called Power Rename. With this feature enabled, you can right-click on one or more files or folders in File Explorer, select Power Rename in the context menu to open it. the Power Rename Tool window will appear, and you can use the text boxes and checkboxes, to quickly batch rename files. For example, you can remove words from a file name, replace phrases and add numbers, change multiple file extensions at once, and more. You can even use regular expressions. The preview pane will help you fine-tune your renaming settings before you go through with the renaming files. The image resizer, I use one that I purchased. I've been using it probably for 10 years, but this one looks very similar. It's a bulk image resizer. You can do many pictures at once or just one at a time, but it offers a quick, it integrates with File Explorer. When it's enabled, you can select one or more image files in File Explorer, right-click them, and select Resize Pictures. And as you see here, you can make them, let's say it starts out a certain size. You can make them small, medium, large for a phone, or you can make it any size that you want. A good way to test whether it does a really good job or not, and the one that I use, why I liked it, is a lot of times I needed some small icon size, 50 pixels by 50 pixels, and a picture of somebody's face. And most programs, when you resize to such a small size, looks terrible. And the one that I use looks really well. I'm going to have to try the PowerToys image resizer and see how it does with a 50 by 50 face of somebody. Fancy Zones is a zone-based window manager. However, Windows 11, probably you're not going to need this, because Windows 11 does have the ability to set up areas on your screen and then put in windows for them. So it's going to be interesting how they handle that and whether Fancy Zones is going to be needed or not. And then there's a shortcut guide for the Windows key. So
That's the
there's a
one I
guide.
like.
Yeah, so whenever you can't remember what the shortcut is, you can just go ahead and click on the shortcut guide, and it'll tell you what, with the Windows key and whatever letter you push, what you're going to get. And you're not going to remember all of them if you try to learn all of them at once. Pick and choose one or two, use them for a while, get used to it, remember them, and then try a couple of more. And as you do that, you'll find it'll be easier to remember them. And then File Explorer Preview for SVG, which is your automatically resizing. Is a certain type of file name. And then for Markdown, the File Explorer doesn't have a preview for those. This adds it to the preview. And then what happened to something called Window Walker? PowerToys is now merged into PowerToys Run. And so you can type the title of a window into your PowerToys Run box to find and switch to it. So that's the PowerToys. Lots of really good utilities from Microsoft that should work on all of your Windows computers. And as Bob says, they are working with Windows 11 as well. Any questions on any of those or anything else? Jalen.
Yeah, I was looking at Key Mapper is interesting because you know how if you use StreamYard or OBS, you have to, there are options to use similar key combinations for shortcuts. Do you know if, can you save the layout in it and then make a new layout and then go back to the original layout without too much hassle, or do you know?
I don't know, and Bob's shaking his head.
No.
Probably not.
Well, that doesn't really work.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Just make yourself a cheat sheet and just, you have to go back and change them, but there shouldn't be a lot of keystrokes you want to remap anyway, and then change them and remap them permanently. Ron, question.
Yeah, I was just wanted to mention everyone in 2013, Microsoft was fined just under $1 billion by the European Commission for not being able to change browsers. In your article that you had, and we were talking about changing the browser and being able to move from one browser to the other, I bet you it gets fixed real fast before the final release, because $1 billion is a lot of money. And I bet they're watching very carefully. And if Microsoft doesn't make this real easy to change browsers, big fines are going to be coming.
And it's not only changing browsers, but changing default browsers.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah. So it'll be interesting if they're going to see what happens.
Yep. The politics and the workings of all of these, they all want to be able to control everything. But yeah, it's I was listening to some podcasts last night on some of these things that some of the companies are doing, and it's just amazing on how much they control things, and how some of the governments around the world are trying to make it so they can't control it as much as they do.
They do make it easy to change the browser. It's just all the other things that are part and parcel of what it should curtail, that's not being changed. The browser itself is easy. Everything else is not.
But when you click on certain things, it opens up Edge. It doesn't open up your default browser.
Correct. But it's not the browser itself.
Yeah.
It's the emails and all the other things that should open up one way, and it doesn't. It defaults to Edge. PDF file, for instance, automatically now opens Edge. Well, I don't want it to open in Edge. I happen to be using the PDF that's part of Chrome. So you have to make those changes, but under PDF, not browser. And that shouldn't have to be that way.
Yeah, and I think I have it to where I can either open it in the browser, I can open it in one of my PDF programs, either Adobe Acrobat, or I've got 2 or 3 different readers that I have that I can open them with.
But like Ron said, it will probably change, because there have been lots and lots of complaints.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, let's go back. I got a couple of more items on there, so we'll share the screen. We have a few minutes left. Okay, so close the PowerToys. And that brings us how to use the Immersive and how to properly reboot. Let's do that one. Well, you know what? There's something I want to do before that. And so I'm going to close this. I put together about a 3-minute video for Tech for Seniors, and I'd like to play it here as a reminder for everybody who is on. So it speaks for itself, but it's etiquette for using Zoom. So let's go ahead and... Hi, Tech for Seniorites. I'm Hewie Poplock. Today I'm going to do a reminder on meeting etiquette. Remember to turn on the camera. Use the video option when possible, but I'm going to talk about some exceptions as we go along. Stay on mute if you're not talking. Dress for the meeting. Don't wear pajamas or other clothing that if you should stand up you'd be embarrassed about. Stage your video area. Remember that what's behind you is visible. Your dirty laundry, your messy desk, your messy dresser, and so on. So stage your area. Clean it up some. One person I know cuts a big box open and puts it behind them as a plain brown background and hides everything. Or you can use the virtual backgrounds that are part of Zoom. Remember that more light is better. Then the light should be in front of you, not behind you. When the light is behind you, you're too dark and we don't get to see you. Don't be late. Be on times. Try to look into the camera. Do your own tech support before you start. Go to zoom.us/test and you can test for your camera, your microphone, and your background. Don't eat during the meeting. The one exception, of course, would be water or coffee. But still, it's good to mute even when you're doing that. And don't do other private things while you're in a meeting. Don't get up and go into the bathroom and forget to turn off your microphone or camera. Don't stand up and do other things. Don't tuck the shirt into your pants. Don't collect other things around the room. Whenever you get up, make sure you turn off the camera. Sit still. If you leave your seat or move from room to room, be sure you turn off the camera. Close the door if possible. Be mindful of background noises. In some cases, there's no door to close. Your kitchen is directly off the living room where you are. But be sure there's not a lot of movement in the background. Ask your wife, your kids, to stop movement or not to be on camera during the meeting. When your microphone is not muted, avoid activities that could create additional noise, such as shuffling papers, hearing your phone ring, or your computer making dings and noises when you get messages. Remember, no pets, kids, or spouses. The exception with your spouse is if they're joining you with the meeting and they're sitting next to you. And don't multitask. Thank you very much. Just some reminders. And the part about turning off your camera and your microphone. Remember, if you're wearing a headset that's Bluetooth with the microphone, especially turn them off when you go to the bathroom. We've read about different people who either brought their laptop in the bathroom with them because they wanted to watch what was going on, forgetting their camera and microphone were still on, and everything that went on was audible as well as visible. You don't want to be in that video that's on YouTube. It gets over 1 million views, I don't think. So those kind of things. Just be mindful of what's going on. And like in a lot of meetings, people want to see your faces. Well, there are some times for the bandwidth purposes, we want to shut off. You want to shut off your video, or if you're doing other things, by all means, turn off the camera. But when you can, have it on, especially in discussions. We like to, those of us who speak to groups, it's a lot more comfortable when we're seeing that, you're awake and you're listening, you're nodding when we say something, you're smiling when we try to say something funny, that sort of thing. The reactions are nice to have. So just bear that in mind when you're on these Zoom meetings or any other type of meeting online, that people can see a lot of things that Ron always says, remember, you're not just watching TV, you're in a meeting and people can see you. Any comments, questions for go back?
Tech for Senior episode 3. You
Yeah.
saw the edited version. I have the original version, which has the bathroom shot. So it happens, right?
Absolutely. So yeah, it's we do forget sometimes that these things are a two-way medium, and there could be 50 or 100 people watching. So
well, Huey, also sometimes it's not that people watch these on their cell phones, and it's a bit confusing. It's quite easy if you're on a laptop or a piece or a tablet, but on a cell phone, it's easy to turn that camera on.
Yep. Or forget that it's on.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's see if there was one final item. We got a few minutes, less than 5 minutes before we really need to cut. So let's share my screen. I think I'm down to the bottom item, or this was the bottom item. Whoops. And where to go? How to properly reboot and restart a Windows computer. I think we briefly talked about this last month. I did in one of the meetings. I do so many of these things. Sometimes I forget when I talk about these things and to whom I talk to about them. But this is a good article anyway to review. I'm not going to go through it. I don't think we have enough time, but there's a video that you might want to go watch. It says less than a minute. But how to reboot a Windows 10 or Windows 8 computer. You go to the Start menu. You select the power icon at the bottom. And it's on the top at Windows 8, the screen, and you select Restart. I'm sorry. Yeah, and you'll select restart. Now, if you're using the power button menu, open the power user menu and go to shutdown or sign out and select restart. How to reboot. Again, that's going back into others. How to restart a computer with Control-Alt-Delete. You can do it that way. So sometimes you lose your mouse or something, you might want to just hit Control-Alt-Delete, and it will come up and it'll have a restart choice. And then from the command prompt, there's ways to do it, and it gives you how to do that. And reboot doesn't always mean reset. Be careful if you see the option to reset something. Restarting is also known as rebooting, is also sometimes called resetting. However, the term resetting is also often used synonymously with it's easy enough for you to say, with a factory reset, meaning a complete wipe and reinstall of the system. Something very different than a restart and not something you want to take lightly. So be careful. Take a look at this article. Okay, on that note, I am going to stop the share, and we're going to say that this has been the Central Florida Computer Society Windows Special Interest Group, or WinSig, for Sunday, September 12th, 2021, and thanks for joining.